episode of Unleash the Knowledges mini-series, 15 Minutes with Owen. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I've loved your book, Limitless. I know many other people have as well. I've passed the book on to many family and friends, and they've all had positive experiences reading the book. The acclaim you've gotten from the book has been incredible. You're a New York Times bestselling author and now Wall Street Journal as well. So the book has done extremely well. I'll quickly read the subtitle for those that are just hearing about it for the first time. It's Upgrade Your Brain, Learn Anything Faster, and Unlock Your Exceptional Life. So thanks again, Jim, for hopping on this. This is amazing, and thanks for all your work that you do for us.
It's a real pleasure, Owen. Congratulations on your show. And I love your background there with all those books.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's not every day that I'm able to talk to someone who probably loves books just as much as I do, and someone that probably consumes books as much as we do. So fantastic. I'll start my timer right now and we'll get right into some questions.
Do it.
Cool. So first question, even for those that might not know too much about you, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. When people see me online or have attended presentations, I do these demonstrations where I'll maybe memorize 50 people's names or 100 numbers or 100 words. But I always tell people I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible. Because the truth is, everybody watching this, they could do that and a lot more. We just weren't taught. And so for me, I look at my role as like a brain coach, where a personal trainer will make your body stronger, more agile, more energized, more flexible. I want your mental muscles to be stronger. I want your focus to be better. I want your memory to be, stronger. I want your reading ability to be faster. And so I like to help people flex their mental muscles so they can learn faster, read faster, remember, more, and become mentally fit.
That's great. Well, that's definitely an area that I think a lot of people don't spend much time on. They go to the gym, they want to look better physically, but they don't quite understand that you have to do the same kind of exercises for your mental state as well. So amazing stuff. The book, so you've been on this journey for 25 plus years. The book just came out this year though. Can you explain the process, the timeline of perhaps how long you've been thinking about writing a book, and what kind of pushed you to finally decide to do so?
Yeah. It's been a while. This is my life's work, is teaching people how to have better brains and the brightest future. I would say my inspiration really was my desperation. I grew up with learning difficulties, and I had 3 traumatic brain injuries. A teacher called me out in front of the whole class, and that's the boy with the broken brain. And so this is really my life's work. My teachers would have been surprised if I read a book, much less wrote a book. And for me, it was kind of an obvious thing, but it was the elusive obvious, because fundamentally I'm a reading teacher, and a reading teacher not having a book is, if I felt like it was important. I didn't want to be able to add value. And so, when I was thinking about legacy and what I leave behind, we have a podcast, which is very popular. We have, students in 195 countries, but I didn't have something physical like a book. And so I just felt like that for anyone watching this, maybe feel like, your mess has become your message, or your struggle has become your strength. I think a lot of us have a book inside of us. And, I had a certain number of life events that kind of got me to the point where saying, wow, if something happened to me, what would I leave behind? And I felt remorse and regret if I didn't have that book out there. So that was really, my inspiration was my desperation and to help people.
Awesome. I know there's a phrase that kind of goes around. I think Evan Carmichael has said it, but your purpose comes from your pain. And that is surely seen through your life. And I've seen the same through mine as well. That's awesome stuff. Now, you have been doing this for 25 years, teaching people how to learn better, memorize stronger, and increase retention. Can you just give us a quick glimpse of what life was like for you from college graduation to maybe when you fully went into being a brain coach? Was there a 9-to-5 job in between? Was there some struggle? What was life like for you?
Well, my struggle really was all through school. So I had this accident when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. I took me 3 years longer to learn how to read. So I struggled in elementary school, middle school, and junior high and high school. When I was 18, I was fortunate enough, just lucky enough to honestly get into a local university. And I wanted to start fresh. I took all these classes and I actually did worse. So I was ready to quit. And, through a set of serendipities, I found a mentor that turned me on to reading, and I started reading about the power of the human mind. And after studying accelerated learning, this class I thought should have been back in school. School teaches us what to learn, what to read, what to think, what to focus on, what to remember, but not how to learn, how to study, how to focus, how to remember, how to read better, right? I really made that my focus. And then after that, my life turned around, my grades shot up, and I couldn't help but help other people. And there was no lag time. I didn't have a job in between. When I was 18, I discovered these skills after, a couple of months of practicing. My life turned around. I couldn't help but help other people. And I started to tutor. And one of my very first students, she was a freshman in college. She read 30 books in 30 days, which I never did. I mean, and I wanted to find out not how. I know exactly how because I taught her, but I want to know why. Her motivation. I talk a lot about the power of human motivation in the book. And I found out her mother was dying of terminal cancer, was given just 2 months to live. And the books she was reading were books to save her mom's life. And she ended up doing so, Owen. And it was amazing because I felt like that if knowledge is power, learning is our superpower, reading is our superpower, memory is our superpower, but in a superpower we all have, we're just not taught how to access and unleash that incredible superpower. So I've been teaching it ever since. So, over a quarter of a century later, still full time. So I really was fortunate in that I did take my pain and turn it into my purpose. My passion was learning. My purpose is teaching other people how to learn. So I've been doing it ever since. It wasn't always easy, but it's just my mission.
Amazing. That's such cool stuff. And I love that you dove right into it, from kind of the get-go. You didn't you realized you had something there and you wanted to put it out into the world and help others. And I'm sure you got results very quickly, like from that one freshman student. So that's cool stuff. If someone just comes across your book, first time on my page, your page, in Barnes and Noble, wherever it may be, and I know we already talked a little bit about what you have in here, can you kind of summarize or at least give the reader the one takeaway that they're going to definitely gain after reading this book?
So Limitless is not about being perfect. It's about advancing and progressing beyond what you believe is possible in your life. And I believe that all limits are learned in our mindset and what we think is possible, what we believe we're capable of. And we can unlearn those things through a process of unlimiting ourselves. So it's about redrawing the borders and boundaries of what we can do and achieve, both with our learning and also in our life. I would say the ultimate technology out there, as people are upgrading their phones, their apps, their computers, the most important technology is the human brain. So I would say Limitless is an owner's manual for unlocking your potential, your most important superpower, which is your mind's potential. And it's full of tactics and tools and techniques on how to unlock and level up your brain so you can be able to read faster, have better focus, improve your memory, and so much more. And so the one through line throughout the entire book is the power of choice. I have a quote in there from a French philosopher that says, "Life is the C between B and D. B is birth, D is death, C is choice." And I believe right now these difficult times can define us, these difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. Ultimately, we decide. And so my message to everybody is we always have a choice. We always can make a new decision that will put us on a new path that will unlock a new exceptional life.
Couldn't agree more. We're definitely going through a very interesting time. And for me, I've had the most self-awareness reflection period that I've ever had in my short life so far during these months of being home. And it really, if you spent the time wisely, I'm sure many people had tons of breakthroughs. And, that's something that hopefully we could carry on into the rest of our lives, even once things fully open up. But that's some great wisdom. I do have okay, sure, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you're absolutely right. And when you understand how your brain works, you can work your brain. So while this book, yes, teaches speed reading, yes, it teaches you how to remember names and learn these things, but really the book I think did so well because it's also a book on how to manage your mind in turbulent times. It's about how to support your family or your kids, like siblings or your children when they're in and out of school. It's about how to have your focus and productivity, optimize it when you're forced to work from home. It's about learning a new subject or new skill because your career has been disrupted. And so I feel like timing wise, it was very important. How do you become limitless in a limited world? We do it exactly what you and I are doing right now. We do it together. We collaborate and together we could achieve more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a Instagram follower question that I asked a couple friends, and here's one that I got. It's for those who suffer from drowsiness or fatigue as a result of reading, what do you recommend for them to overcome that?
Great. A few things.
Sure.
Number I teach people how to read this book. I want this not necessarily to be the most read book, but I mean the most bought book, but definitely the most read book. So you'll notice there's a chapter in there how to read this book, and there's a chapter on speed reading because I want people to finish this book. I want this to be the one book to be able to help learn, remember, read it all. There's like kind of Lord of the Rings for help you read all other books. That being said, I would say that when we're talking about this book, Limitless, and if you feel like mental fatigue, one of the things is the Pomodoro technique. Make sure you're reading in about 25-minute intervals, meaning that after about 25, 30 minutes, our attention tends to go down, our concentration, our energy tends to dip. And so what do you do during that break? Maybe a 5-minute break to do three things to get your to combat mental fatigue. Number one, not only are you taking a break, but number one, you are moving. As your body moves, your brain grooves, and that will give you energy. You create brain-derived neurotropic factors. We know when people listen to a book on an elliptical or when they go for a walk, or they're going to retain it better. They're going to understand it better. We know people are more creative when they're moving. They're going for a walk, like Steve Jobs having his walking meeting. So I would say number one, move during that break. Number two, I would say to hydrate, that your brain is 75% water, and just staying hydrated will boost your thinking speed and your reaction time 30%. So make sure you hydrate. Your brain is mostly water, so make sure you're hydrating. And then also what you could do is make sure you're breathing, because, and notice I didn't even mention food, because how long can you go without food? You could go a month, right, or more. How long can you go without water? Maybe a few days. But how long can you go without air? Maybe a few minutes. So make sure you're breathing. A lot of people get tired when they're reading because their posture, it's like they're bent over. And when you collapse your diaphragm, the lower 1/3 of your lungs absorbs 2/3 of the oxygen. So a lot of people are tired just because they're not getting enough oxygen to their brain. So make sure you breathe also as well.
Cool. That's amazing advice. I know the person who asked that is going to love that. Some real good tips that they can implement. So now we are in COVID, but pre-COVID, I can only imagine that you're traveling the nation, the world, you're doing speaking engagements, you're a very busy man. How do you find time to read during these times? And can you give us a quick number of how many books you're still able to consume on a yearly basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I'm speaking live under normal conditions, I'm in front of a good 200,000 people a year. I could be on 3 continents in 1 week. So a lot of travel, and obviously being on planes is a wonderful time to be able to catch up on your reading. Not so much now. And so the most important thing I would say is we like to encourage people to read one book a week. That's like a we have like a hashtag one book a week club, where the average person only reads, it's sad, only like 2 or 3 books a year.
Mhm.
And but a lot of our clients, when people see that we meet with Oprah or Elon Musk or Richard Branson, or these individuals like Bill Gates, we bonded over books. Leaders are readers, and what I've noticed the through line is they make time to read and they schedule their reading. Warren Buffett said to read 500 pages a day. You schedule your reading and your personal growth, because if you don't put it in your calendar, you're not going to do it. And just to get through one book a week, just so it's about, the average book, has about 64,000 words. The average person reads about 200 words per minute. So if you divide those numbers, about 320 minutes to get through one book, which if you break it down to 7 days in a week, it's about 45 minutes of reading a day to get through one book. So it's not as intimidating as people think. And you can break up that 45 minutes into 2 reading sessions. Now, the average, we boost people in our online programs, 300% their reading speed with better comprehension. So basically doing 15 minutes normally takes 45 minutes. But that being said, I would say schedule it. For me, I'm a good 5 books a week person. I did an Insta story with Will Smith. I was like, what are 2 things you do to keep, high performance? And he was like, I do 2 things. I run and I read. And, and that you do something physical. We already talked about that. And also you do something mental. And I think reading is the best exercise for your focus, for your empathy, for your imagination. Readings to your mind, what exercises to your body. And so for me, I get through a good 4 or 5 books a week. I rather honestly go a day without eating than a day without feeding my mind.
Mm, cool. That's breaking it down is so important, and scheduling as well. And I know, people my age in the young millennial group, when they think about sales and they think about wealth, they want to get to that 1 million mark. But when you kind of break down what it takes to get to that mark, it's like, well, that's not too bad. It's, a $25 product, X amount of time, sold. Same with reading. And that's like you just said, once you break it down to kind of a miniature perspective, it's so much more easier to accomplish. So that's good wisdom. I know a lot of people can put that into action.
Yeah, I believe that we talk about it in the book about overcoming procrastination. What's the real, formula for motivation? Which is, I think, it's worth the price of the book just right there. But part of it is small, simple steps. This S3 idea, where a
Yes.
lot of people aren't motivated because this goal is way too big. A million followers or $1 million or whatever it is. But maybe if you break it down, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's too hard. I believe little by little, a little could become a lot.
Completely agree. The time's running down. I have three quick questions that I want to ask. What is still unwritten for Jim Kwik? Any dream that you're still looking to accomplish?
In terms of, yeah, there are, I have more books in me for sure. Now that this first book came out this year, it kind of opened up like a well,
Yeah.
going through that process. And so my mind has always wanted to create, because I feel like part of learning is this note taking, but also we also learn by, creating. Also, I think the human brain doesn't learn just through consumption, it learns through creation. And sometimes we write or teach the things that we need to learn the most. For me, I have my two biggest challenges were, learning and public speaking. And that's all I do is teach people now how to learn. I public speak about this thing. So there are these ideas. We have two bonus chapters coming with the book: Limitless for kids, Limitless for teams, building learning organizations. Certainly, we could go into Limitless for all kinds of careers, and Limitless for opportunity, entrepreneurs and so on. But there are also ideas I have about the future of education and what education could look like. And so I think that'd be worth putting into a book also as well. But there's this quote that says, if you can't find a book, about a subject you're interested, maybe you're the one who's supposed to write it. And so I'm very interested in this process and showing people what they're capable of.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more. And I'm completely on that same wave of rethinking education. I,
Yeah,
like yourself, struggled in school and I have a master's degree, and everyone I know close to me has no idea how I obtained that. But it's simply the fact that you can really accomplish anything you put your mind to. So, you're the embodiment of that, and I'm trying to do the same. Next quick question is, what is a book or a few books that you find yourself rereading, but also ones that you always gift to others?
oh wow. I could just grab them right now, actually. um, so here are some. I'm just going. I have rooms of books.
I bet.
um, some just ones that these are all going to be familiar, not new for anything. But Napoleon Hill, Thinking Rich, is a book that I'll go back to. Man's Search for Meaning. Um, Mentor Mind, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, The Magic of Thinking Big, and who could forget, Carol Dweck's
Oh, yeah.
Mindset. I mean, those are classics and they're timeless. And I'll even reread these books, not because the books have changed at all, but because I've changed. I don't know, Owen, do you pick up books? Do you ever reread something, or like kind of a go-to? And because you're at a different stage in your life that you might get something out of it, that second or third time around. But those are a lot of the books that I gift out. But I gift out books every week. I mean, for our podcast, we're always giving away our podcast guests, books and other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely am in a phase right now where I'm trying to consume as much as I can with my young mind and my curiosity. However, there are books that I've come across, like Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is a book I read a couple years ago, actually with the sports team. And that book has, it's put a name to my mindset. It put a name to other people's mindset. It was
Sure.
something that we might have thought about, but now we actually have a actual label we can kind of put towards it. So, last question: do you have a personal mantra or a phrase that you kind of that really resonates with you? Something that you remind yourself with each day?
Wow, that's great. That's a great final question. And I'm curious what yours would be. For me, I have a number of, I believe that it's very important to control your self-talk, that your brain is like a supercomputer and your self-talk is a program that will run. So if you tell yourself, I am not good at remembering names, you won't remember the name of the next person you meet because you programmed your supercomputer not to. And if people truly understood how powerful your mind was, you wouldn't say or think something you didn't want to be true. And the most powerful mantra is always starting with I am, right? The two smallest words in the English language, I am, because whatever you put after that is going to determine your identity, your your life, your destiny, your destiny, if you will. And so for me, I'm very conscious of those I am statements. For me, things that come to mind are things like I am limitless, right? Because I believe limits are learned and they can be unlearned. So I like that, to have that in my mind, and encourage our community says that a lot. I am limitless. Hundreds of posts on our social media for that daily. I would also say I am responsible. I think that's very important. That with great power comes great responsibility. We know that from the great Stan Lee. But the opposite is also true. With great responsibility comes great power. When we take responsibility for something, we have great power to make it better. Instead of blaming and making excuses and complaining, we can't be upset by the results we didn't get from the work we didn't do. And I would say blaming and excuses, complaining uses up a lot of energy. And instead, I would say use that energy to don't say things, show people, don't promise people, prove it. And so I would say that I am limitless, I am responsible. Maybe my past created who I am, but I am solely responsible and accountable for who I am today and tomorrow. I think that would be the most important thing, is to believe that you are responsible.
Cool. That's very powerful. And I'll share a little bit of mine. I kind of have two, but the main principle is that who I was yesterday is not who I have to be today. And that
Mm.
really just speaks truly to my past and everything I've accomplished in my short life right now, where you can literally accomplish anything. You can speak to anyone. Me speaking to you right now is already off the charts. And if you just put your mind to it and you provide value and you do the right things leading up to it, it could all be done. But truly, the other branch to that is don't compare yourself to someone else. And I always see a reoccurring image. It's don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. If I'm hypothetically, if I'm competing with you, you are on chapter 50, I'm on chapter 1. It just doesn't make sense. It's only going to put me down. It's only going to
Uh,
diminish my mentality. So it's really just you're running your own race, and it's not a sprint. And work on it each and every day. And like you said, the little actions do compound over time. So
well, I would love to do this. I know you're wrapping here. I would love everyone to challenge everybody, because I believe that you have to take some kind of action. The knowledge alone isn't power; it becomes power when we act on it. I would actually challenge everyone to take a screenshot of this conversation, or something like that, and actually, or this episode, and post it. Tag us both in it so we see it, and share. Answer the question that you actually asked me, is like, what are your go-to books? I would love to see that myself. So tag me so I get to read it. And I would love to, I'm always looking for good book recommendations also as well. So if you post it, and you can also put in the comments or the description a book that you're currently reading, or one that kind of your go-to that you gift. I'm always looking for a good read.
yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely do that with all these questions, and I'm really hoping that it'll open up a big realm of discussion with my community.
If your community tags me in it, I'll actually repost some of my favorites, just because
Cool.
I love those kind of things.
Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you again so much. I know you're an extremely busy man, and today you're doing a lot of good content work for all of us to consume. But you're the author, the best-selling author of Limitless, Jim Kwik, the #1 brain coach in the world. Is there anywhere where I could send people to learn more about you, a social media platform or a website?
Yeah, just the two places. Our podcast is found at kwikbrain.com, kwikbrain.com. Every episode is only 15 minutes or so. And you can get it there, as well as 3 bonus videos on speed reading and memory. And the book can be found anywhere you buy books. My favorite place is limitlessbook.com, because you also get some bonus book club and everything that I gift to people. So all the links around the world, because I know you have a global audience. And then on socials at Jim Kwik everywhere. So, but I appreciate, Owen, thank you for the great work that you do. Thanks for inspiring people to level up their learning and their life, and being an inspiring example for people around you. Going from, having challenges in school and realizing that, that's not how smart you are, it's how are you smart, totally reframes everything. And I believe everyone who's watching this, you have what it takes to succeed. Otherwise, you wouldn't show up as you are right now. So thank you. And thank you everyone who's joined us.
Absolutely. And one last piece, I will attest to going to limitlessbook.com. I got your 10-day training with the purchase of the book. Not positive if that is still a package deal, but I'm sure you're going to get some sort of golden nuggets with the purchase of the book. So I will state that right here verbally, and I will continue to tell people moving forward that if you're going to get Limitless, the book, go to Jim's website and get all the goodies that he's also packaging in with the book. So
Amazing.
thank you again, Jim. This is great.
Thanks, Owen.